On today's show, we saw a bunch of action in the NBA. Saw Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama's debut, the debut of DeRozan on the Kings. But what moved you in the NBA tonight? We'll tell you on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On NBA your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day. Leave a 5-star review, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And joining me from the great Locked On Bucks show, Camille Davis, what you got for me?
Man, just chilling, enjoying the fact that we're getting a little bit more summer up here in Milwaukee for like one more day before fall comes back. Midwest weather can be all over the place.
Well, here in Dallas, Texas, we have it was like 80 something today. It was like 89 today, and I was like, fall.
Meanwhile, it's like 42 this morning. I'm like,
oh my
fall.
God, no, I couldn't do it anymore. Left the north, came down here. I don't think I'm going back. Today on the show, we're gonna say, now that you've seen it, are you moved by any of these? We'll talk about Knicks versus Wizards, Kings versus Warriors, Thunder versus Rockets, and then of course we'll play Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Kawhi Leonard, not so subtly dissing his teammates, sort of, in a way. A lot of great things to count it up to. I'm excited for that. Let's start here. The San Antonio Spurs play the Orlando Magic in San Antonio. We got the debut of Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama. Got to see them together. Had some great moments between the two of them. Had an alley-oop over Mo Wagner that I think Mo Wagner would rather not be on, because that's going to be a poster in somebody's room in San Antonio. And just a great pick and roll there. You saw some other things. You saw how Chris Paul can run the offense. But my question today on all these, Camille, Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama, now that you've seen it, are you moved?
I am moved. I was somebody who was high on this pairing initially. Like, we know Chris Paul went there in part. I mean, Wemby is a huge part of it, but he gets to also play. This is not a bench role for CP3. He's going to be expected to really get that offense in line. And you saw it today, him really just organizing everybody, but it's just going to be on them teammates. Can they knock down those shots that Chris Paul's able to set them up with? We
didn't have Devin Vassell in this game, and so without him, you kind of look at across the landscape of the Spurs and go, oh, it's Jeremy Sohan, it's Julian Champagnie, it's Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, like Stephon Castle was playing a lot in this one. There's just a lot of really young guys. Yep. And exactly what you said, Chris Paul running the show, moving it all around. I don't know that I'm moved by it, though.
Really?
Why? I don't think
you need?
Because how far am I going to be moved? Am I moved that they're not a 22-win team anymore? Yes. Am I moved that they are going to go over their over-under, which last I checked was like 35? I don't know that I'm moved that far to where they're going to go that far ahead, because it's gonna have to be a lot on Wembanyama. And yes, Vassell was in this game. We're not trying to take too much out of a preseason game, but just now that I've seen it on the court, it's like, okay, it looks good, and I'm glad that everything's getting put together, but Wembanyama has to be a top 10 player this season in order to move me enough.
Some people think that he's going to be there this year. You look at the GM survey, a lot of people are really high on Victor Wembanyama. But a question, like, where do you think the Spurs ceiling is? Like, for me, when I was looking at this team, I was like, I think there'll be a team that's going to be trying to fight for a play-in spot. Like, that's their goal. Like, play-in is the highest peak that I can see for the Spurs reaching this particular season. And I think that's even going to be a challenge for them to get there because of how much talent is in the West. But I think Chris Paul helps a lot in just organizing things. Again, if guys can show up, like, as you mentioned, going through the roster, like Devin Vassell is going to need to be healthy. They're going to have to find that other guy. But I could see a pathway where, like, you talk in March and it's like, hey, can the Spurs make a play-in reach?
The problem with that, we ended our night watching Sacramento Kings versus the Golden State Warriors. Both teams won 46 games last year and were the bottom two teams in the play-in. Like, that is what we're talking about in this West. It is so tough. And in any normal year, or even in the East, put this Spurs team in the East, and I'm talking about them for a play-in spot. Absolutely. We do the thing where it's just, all 16 teams like across the board, or 20 teams now, I guess. Then yeah, I'm moved by this. But because they're in the West, you got to leapfrog some teams, because one of The Spurs have to be better than one of the Thunder, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Clippers, Mavericks, Suns, Lakers, Pelicans, Kings, Warriors, Rockets, Grizzlies. Like got to be better than a couple of those teams. Man, it's just a lot. It's a lot to ask.
Yeah, Jazz, Blazers, those are two where I'm like, definitely Spurs over them. Yeah. The Warriors, I'm interested in seeing how this season goes. I'm not projecting it because, listen, I have a lot of faith in Steph Curry here, but like that team is really interesting to me in how they're set up and who's going to be the number 2 guy there. But on the strength of Steph Curry, I am not going on record saying that the Spurs are going to finish ahead of the Warriors.
Camille, you're not going full night. I'm not going full night on the Warriors.
Not on the Warriors. Not yet.
not one, 2 preseason games in. Yeah, Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama. I like the pairing. It just doesn't move me enough to like put them in a play-in race or something like that. On the other side of the ball, the Orlando Magic. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope did not play in this game, but we did see him in the first preseason game. Now that you've seen that together, does it move you? Does KCP on the Magic move you? This was one of the big offseason moves that everybody was talking about out east. The Magic are like this incredible defense. KCP had that quote that went everywhere. It says, now I'm finally on a team where everybody wants to play defense, which was a shot at, I don't know, name former teammate Jokic, Jamal Murray, LeBron James. Like, I don't know, name a former teammate. But does it move you? Does KCP on the Magic move you at all?
It does move me a bit because, listen, the Magic's defense, as he was pointing out, is top notch. The thing with the Magic is just that 3-point shooting, the shooting in general. So KCP, that addition should be good. I believe he's like a career 37% 3-point shooter. He shot over 40% while he's with the Nuggets. So we know he can be a consistent threat from 3. So like that addition, yes, I think it makes them better. But my question for the Magic is how much internal improvement is that roster going to see as well? Like, is Suggs going to knock down more 3? Are we going to see Franz Wagner coming in and finally knocking down some 3s after a horrific playoff performance from him? So like if those other guys can contribute, I'm moved more. But the KCP signing in addition, I think is good for the Magic.
It moves me to put the Orlando Magic as the number 1 defense, which is enough in the regular season to get you to a place where all of a sudden you go, wait, the Magic are like top 3 or top 2 in the East, and you go, well, how did they get there? Like, to me, it does move. That move does move me because I think that is the KCP Suggs backcourt is maybe the best defensive backcourt in the NBA. Derek White and Drew Holiday aside, possibly. Like, but their offense, you're right. Watching this game, you go, oh my gosh, like, where is this coming from? Paolo's got to take a step forward. I think he's got to take a step forward as a playmaker. Got 7 assists tonight, which I think is a good sign there. Wagner's always been a pretty good playmaker. They've got it. Somebody else has really got to step up in that area. And we didn't see Jonathan Isaac tonight. Didn't see Gary Harris. So their team not completely full, not completely intact there. But it moves me enough. It moves me enough that I feel okay about it. I feel okay.
Hey, listen, Jett Howard was moving me a little bit tonight just watching him shoot the ball. He looks like a very natural offensive type of guy. And I was a big fan as well of the Tristan Da Silva pickup in the draft this year as well. I think he's going to be a really even-keeled player for him. So they might have enough there on the offensive side to help out.
Jett Howard hit like an and 1-3 right in Chris Paul's face and like stared him down, like screened and got up. And I was like, oh, Jett Howard. Like, okay. That's a little feisty. I'm with that.
I like it. I was like, I'm becoming a fan, Jet. I'm becoming a fan.
The Thunder and the Rockets. The rare preseason overtime game. Rick Carlisle, former coach of the Dallas Mavericks, threw a preseason game one time. I swear, threw a preseason game because he did not want to go into overtime. We go into the locker room after, or the presser after, and he goes, well, thank God that didn't happen.
I don't blame him. Preseason overtime. That's next level.
I don't either. But we did get to see Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso again, and my question is, does it move you? Isaiah Hartenstein coming off the bench for the 2nd straight game, so it seems like that may be where they're going with that. A $30 million player off the bench is wild to me, but does this roster move you?
Yeah, it helps to fix some of the weaknesses we saw on that roster last year with the defensive rebounding in general, I guess one would say, and just adding more defense. Like trading out Josh Giddey, who was somebody who didn't project to be a major part of the rotation after seeing how last year's playoffs went, replacing that with Alex Caruso, just the defense there, his ability to make the right plays, it just all fits really, really well together. So again, on paper, I'm loving how this looks. It's a team that was strong last year, that did a few moves that should help shore up some of its weaknesses. So yeah, I'm here for it. And you could play Hartenstein with Chet, as we saw a bit during the game as well.
As someone that covers the Mavericks and is personally, financially, and emotionally invested in the how the Mavericks do, I'm sad to report that this does move me. I'm sad to report that seeing this and just seeing it on the court. You mentioned that lineup with Hartenstein and Chet. They can play together, which is kind of rare for centers, but you can here. And seeing them plus the Caruso and Dort and SGA lineup,
it's nasty.
Oh my god, like, that one's tough. There's not a lot of offensive creation there, but good luck scoring. I mean, at the rim, on the perimeter. I mean, SGA is the worst defender in that group. Maybe Isaiah Hartenstein, but that one is tough, and it does move me. Seeing this roster together, I still have the same playoff questions: who's going to create offense and all that. But this team's going to win a bunch of regular season games because you can see Isaiah Hartenstein as the glue guy. He did a couple of things tonight where you go, there he getting rebounds, 9 rebounds tonight, 3 assists, couple, block and a steal. He just puts it all together, and this is a team that already kind of had it together. You replace Giddey with this guy. Oh, nice, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And if J-Dub takes another leap, which I could definitely see coming from him, like that could help a bit with the shot creation. You can stagger the lineups, have him run with the bench a little bit more as well. Like the potential is really, really high coming out of OKC.
It is.
Sorry.
It is. Everybody picked them. The GM survey, they were all over it. They're absolutely all over it. So coming up, let's get into the Rocket side of it. And then DeMar DeRozan debuted with the Sacramento Kings. Does it move you? I'll tell you coming up. Count it up. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and you too can go to anything. There's so many different events. It's wild. Every time I open it, I see a different event that I want to go to. I went to a concert last weekend, and I got tickets on Game Time. It's awesome because you get the view from your seat. You get the lowest price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. If you don't, if another site has a cheaper deal, there's all kinds of stuff. Just go and peruse it. Hold on. Okay. I went to Game Time. I literally open this every time. Game Time, Utah Jazz at Dallas Mavericks, $4. How is it? $4? Okay. I'm in. I'm all in. I'm all in on that. Maybe buying that for some friends. Go check it out. See what deals you can get on Game Time. That actually surprised me on Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use that code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Count it up. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. Being an everyday or listening every day, we have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description or find a show that covers your team every day, like Locked On Bucks, like Locked On Mavs. Going at it. Ready for real basketball games to start.
Sure. For sure. I'm thirsty for real basketball at this point.
Last thing on the Thunder and Rockets. We've gotten to see Reed Shepherd now a little bit here and there. There's been some clips posted of him on practice. This Reed Shepherd has seen him on a court, and most importantly, does his mustache moved you?
The mustache does not move me. I actually saw that. I was like, wait a second. That's what Hold on. I don't know about the mustache here, but I mean, seeing what you see out of him in practice and the shooting touch, I'm curious to see how that translates over into the NBA, especially when the regular season gets underway here.
It did feel like the Rockets did kind of need a guy like that, just an off the bench guy that can fill it up a little bit. Right, he scores 11 points tonight, hits a 3, just a guy that can do a little bit on offense. And yeah, he's moving me a little bit. I'm interested. He's got pretty good odds, and I think didn't he get voted in the GM survey as one of the best rookies or to win Rookie of the Year or something like that?
Yeah, one of the rookie ones. He was high on the list.
So he's moving GMs. So I guess he can move me too. Sacramento Kings, the debut of DeMar DeRozan. We got to see him. He just played the first half, and so that's the only part of this game that matters to me. So let's talk about. Don't tell them we're recording this during the game, Camille. Don't reveal our secret.
You just did.
DeMar DeRozan goes 6 of 6, 15 points, and assist. Hit a 3 too in this game. Does DeMar DeRozan on the Kings? Now that you've seen it, does it move you?
They're gonna need him. So yeah, I'll say it moves me because I mean, you think about it, like. De'Aaron Fox is somebody who won the initial Clutch Player of the Year award. DeRozan was 3rd place that year. Last year, DeRozan was a close 2nd. Now you're adding DeRozan on the same team with De'Aaron Fox. 2 guys who can really fill it up in the clutch. It gives you more shot creation options. We saw how beautiful this offense might look with him in there with Sabonis and the dribble handoffs and all the movement and using Sabonis as a hub and how that can free up what DeRozan can do in the mid-range. Like I'm sold. But again, The West is tough. So, like, how many more games improvement does it give them? I don't know. But I do like the potential of this squad, especially in the playoffs, especially in the clutch.
I kind of feel like the KCP to the Magic move is the exact same thing as this of the Kings, because DeRozan getting added to the Kings, you add some insane shot making. He made some shots tonight where you just go, what? Like, how do you guard that? And yes, it's going to make their offense better and more potent and all that. Defensively, he does not improve their team. I don't think. And then I don't know that he improves their team in the playoffs either. He has not been known as like this playoff riser. And that's been the thing for them as they get to the playoffs these last 2 years or the play-in, and they just can't move past whoever's in front of them. And so it improved the one side of the ball they already had down, and it doesn't improve the side that they actually needed. And so it moves me in a regular season sense. Like, I think this team will win more games for sure. They've got more talent, obviously. You have to admit that. But it doesn't move me in a playoff setting. Not yet.
We'll have to see. Because, I mean, listen, if Keon Ellis can continue his development, like, they have some interesting different guys they can throw out there for defense. But when I'm thinking playoffs, I'm thinking how the game is slowing down.
Which other different guys, Camille? Keon Ellis is the only one I feel like people bring up.
You don't believe in Keegan Murray's defense? His potential?
Keegan Murray. I love the chant for Keegan Murray. But he can defend a little bit. And, Fox can defend a little bit. But I don't know. To me, it's just not enough. Monk, DeRozan, you've got to play them at certain points, and I don't think that moves you.
You do. So their hope is going to be that if the defense falters, they're just going to have to make some tough shots. They're going to have to be able to make enough points on that offensive side to make that defense kind of be like, I don't want to say not important because we know defense matters, but like, we're going to get into a shootout. Like, they're a team that could be equipped in a shootout. If it's just offense, we're just going bucket for bucket. They might be ready for it.
Also, Scala BCA is back on this team.
That's going to be a question for who he played for. I guarantee it.
Oh, 100%. But he got drafted by then, didn't he? Or like a long time ago?
He was drafted by, but I didn't realize he was back there myself. I would have been just like Chuck.
He's down there on the bottom of it. I wonder if this is like a really bad like typo. Like, went back. Yeah, he was on the Kings for 2.5 years. He got drafted by them really high. Yeah, I've already been known as a Kings hater. I've been played on Locked On Kings. Clips from this show have been played on Locked On Kings. Labeling me as a Kings hater, can't go back now. The Warriors are kind of going back a little bit. They're going backwards in the standings. Not great. They changed their starting lineup again. First preseason game, they went Steph Curry, DeAnthony Melton, Jonathan Kuminga, Draymond Green, Trace Jackson Davis. Okay. Then for this game against the Kings, they went Steph Curry, Podziemski, Kuminga, Draymond Green, and Kevon Looney. Do either of those lineups move you?
No, they do not. They do not. There is not enough spacing. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, the Warriors have a problem because they have so many forwards, right? We got to keep in mind too, Wiggins has been sick all preseason, so he's not having been in the equation. So you throw him in with Kuminga and Green and with Trace and with Loon, and it's just like, I don't like the spacing. I don't like the offensive fits there unless Kuminga makes some kind of huge jump offensively where he is a catch and shoot genius and he can really knock it down.
I saw a report recently that Kevon Looney's been in the lab, and didn't he say he's shooting like 500 threes a game?
Yeah. And then Kerr came out himself and was like, yeah, but that's only for like if the play is broken down, he's standing out there. He's not a pick and pop big. He is somebody where if he's open and no one's around him, sure, let it fly. But like, come on, man, that's not gonna change it too much for him. Shout out to Loon. I love Loon. 414 love, but
that'd be like you've been working on something. You're in a band. You've been working on this new song. You're not normally the guy that writes the songs. You've been working on a new song, and you come in like George Harrison on the Beatles comes in and he's like, or Ringo, hey guys, I've got this new song, and then Paul and John Lennon look at you and go, you know what? We're not going to do that one right now. Only if we absolutely need it. We can't think of anything else, even though we're geniuses. Like,
right. That's pretty much how it went. That's what Kerr was saying. Like, listen, it's not what you guys think exactly. Like, yeah, but let it fly. It's like half encouraging, but half like, let's dial this back a little bit.
They're very similar, these lineups. You're basically replacing Looney with Trace Jackson Davis. I mean, there's not too big of a difference there. I think I would go with Trace Jackson Davis there, personally. And then Podziemski versus DeAnthony Melton, who kind of do similar things. I think Podziemski has a little bit more diversity in his game, but I saw some good things from Melton tonight too. So it doesn't move me either way. It's just not enough. We were texting during this game, and I was like, I will watch 0 non-Steph Curry Warriors games because it's just going to be Draymond and a bunch of dudes, and like not dudes in a good way, just like a bunch of 7th, 8th, 9th men on NBA teams. They should all be on NBA rosters. Like these are all NBA players. There's something to be said about that. It's just not enough to move me in any way, unless Kuminga takes a leap, like you said, or I don't know. Steph has an insane. I don't even think Steph could have an insane enough season for this team.
Like he would have to have like a career season, and that would probably be like, oh look, they're in that playing race. Like I don't think they're gonna have enough. And they've been talking about Draymond at the 5 a little bit more. And
he did last year,
out of necessity for some points of it. But like, I don't know if you want to put Draymond out there at the 5 for extended minutes either. Like I could see it as a change of pace for sure, but extended, nah. And yeah. The Warriors, like you said, a bunch of guys there right now. And even Steph kind of alluded to it, like, we're going to see what we got here. We'll see how it shakes out.
Coming up, last game of the night, Knicks. We got to see Towns, his MSG debut. Not his debut with the Knicks, but MSG debut. And we got to see Alex Sarr with the Wizards. Let's talk about what we think about those coming up. Count it up. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. Check out FanDuel. See what's available in your area. There's all kinds of great stuff all the time. And you can go right now, if you're an NFL fan, and go check out all the different live play-by-play stats, all kinds of things like that. If you put down $5, it's your first $5. Whether you win or lose, you get $200 guaranteed in bonus bets. So go see what's available. Camille is a big Packers fan, I know. And Packers, they play the Cardinals this week. They're a 5.5-point favorite in that game. So if you're feeling good about the Packers, just like Camille is, go check out that game. Go check out the NBA futures we've been talking about. All kinds of things with FanDuel. Again, go check out FanDuel. See what is available to you. It's FanDuel.com. All right, Camille, we're playing. Now that we've seen it, are you moved by this? Karl-Anthony Towns. We've seen 2 games now from Karl-Anthony Towns on the Knicks. He got his MSG debut in the preseason. Are you moved by Towns on the Knicks?
I am. I had some questions about the defense, but listen, the way that Bridges, Hart, and OG, that trio right there, they're going to cover up a lot for them. I love the chemistry that seems to be brewing already between Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. And as someone who watches the Bucks all the time, I saw how sometimes that chemistry does not happen quickly between a big and a star point guard. So to see how Brunson and Cat have already been able to really get some synergy from the DHOs to the pick and rolls, like it looks good. Cat didn't knock a lot down tonight, but he was getting a lot of good looks.
And they were giving him those looks. 20 shots. He went 7 of 20 and also 11 free throws. He got the ball a bunch in these 28 minutes, and they wanted to play him a bunch. It moves me in a way. I'm nervous about their bench a little bit, though. No Miles McBride. Mitchell Robinson's still out, obviously. But coming off the bench, it's Campaign, Precious Achiuwa, Landry Shamet doing Landry Shamet things in not a good way. Jericho Sims, Tyler Kolek. He kind of moves me a little bit. Maybe we'll talk about him. Their bench is a little shaky after losing DiVincenzo and all that. So, but I do like the spacing. The spacing he gives their offense. I don't know that it's moving me in this way. There's a lot of talk about the Knicks could be the number 1 offense in the NBA. I don't think it's moving me in that direction, just seeing it on the court. Are you there yet where you think this Knicks team is going to be one of the best offenses in the league?
They're going to be up there. I'm not sure if I would say number 1 initially here, but like, here's one thing I love about that offense, because you have somebody like Brunson's going to take a lot of shots. We saw how they were force feeding Karl-Anthony Towns tonight, just getting him in rhythm, get the shots up. But you have someone in your starting lineup like Josh Hart, who's like, if I don't shoot the ball, I really don't care. I am here to play some defense, which helps with that shot allocation on their offense, understanding the hierarchy of who's getting the shots too. So
I run and jump and eat candy. Like. That's all. That's all I do. On the other side, we saw Alex Sarr. I thought we saw some pretty good things from Alex Sarr. The last taste of my mouth I had of Alex Sarr was the summer league, where he did not look very, very good at all. But did Alex Sarr stand out to you? Did he move you at all? 12 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks for him in this game.
Yeah, this was my first extended look at Sarr. I don't like to count summer league. Preseason, better idea, still not the full picture, but he was cool. But Keyshawn George.
Oh,
that is who popped out to me, where I was just like, I kept going, oh, okay. I see the 3. Okay, I see you. I see the defense, jump balls, blocks, just looking really natural and fluid with the ball. He took 1 rebound, took it full court himself, finished with a layup. I'm like, this kid might be the rookie to watch on the Wizards.
I kind of like Bub Carrington too. I like their other rookies too. He looks bigger than what I would think on the court. But yeah, seeing it together, this Wizards team is not going to defend very well.
They're not going to be good at all.
This is going to be a bad Wizards. This Wizards team is one star away from just making sense as a basketball team. Like not even like being good or just making sense.
They're running Jordan Poole at point guard. Like he's not a
he barely like brought the ball up at all or initiated offense.
Valanciunas had the ball more trying to initiate actions than Poole did. Like I was like, my goodness, y'all don't need Brogdon. He out for a month. So
yeah, that one's tough. Tough. There you go. That's the games of the night. Let's play our favorite game. We count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. Let's count it up.
Big chicken, baby.
Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
Kawhi Leonard this week was asked about the new guys in camp, such as Chris Dunn and my boy Derek Jones Jr. And he was asked about their progression, and he said, "Nobody really stood out to me so far." My question is, if you're his teammate, how much would that bother you as a teammate? That he couldn't even give a media day answer. There's been some great guys that have really stood out this week. We saw DJJ playing some good defense. Like, just give me something. Nobody? He's got nothing good to say about anybody. It's a layup question.
It is a layup. First off, the Kawhi impression. Bravo. Bravo on the impression. But listen, if I was a teammate, I'd be a little taken aback. That's like on a scale of 1 to 5, like pearl clutches.
Yeah,
I'm clutching 2 of them. Wait a second, hold on.
The pearl clutches.
Like, okay, I understand it's still early, but like you couldn't say nothing positive at all.
Yeah,
so two pearl clutches for me on that one.
Yeah, this would bother me a lot as a team. Like, you just couldn't think of anybody. Like one of our rookies, like somebody. Like give me something. Zubats, like that's been on the team for a while, worked really hard. James Harden, like, always know James Harden's really good. Like, no, nobody's standing out to him. That's hilarious. LeBron James and Bronny played together for the first time this week in the preseason. Let's go back to our original question. How much does that move you?
On an emotional level, Nick?
Sure, yeah. It's
a beautiful thing. The first father-son duo in the NBA, beautiful to see, especially with Bronny's history, having a cardiac arrest during his first year at USC, so on and so forth. LeBron's longevity. It moves me on an emotional level greatly. Basketball-wise, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it does not move me on a basketball-wise, but it is really cool to see. I'm ready for the alley-oop. It's got to happen at some point. But is it LeBron to Bronny? Can that happen, or does it have to be Bronny to LeBron? Imagine your dad. You couldn't throw. You have to throw the lob to your dad because your dad couldn't throw the lob to you.
Yeah, because your dad's a better finisher than you, which is crazy to say. Like, your dad's 40, bro. Like, he's 40. You're the young guy, and it's still like, yeah, let's give my dad the chance to go up there and get it.
I bet he could throw a lob. Ramona Shelburne this week reported that the Warriors liked Bronny's skill set and had him on their draft board, sources said. Selecting him above the Lakers, who held the 55th pick, would have been a shrewd move, but ultimately, sources said, the Warriors opted to respect the wishes that LeBron James had made clear. My question is, 0 to 5, how many caps? 5 caps being, there's no way this is true. 0 caps meaning you believe the Warriors and they're just being nice and just out of the goodness of their heart, they let Bronny go to the Lakers.
I'm going to give it 3. I think there was something to it. I think there's something to it. And the releasing of this information at this point is what's really interesting to me. It didn't happen like after the draft where you're like,
I don't think they care.
And now it's like, okay, now it's coming out. Like, what are we trying to do here? What's the bottom line to letting this come out now? That's more so where I'm at. But I think the Warriors probably did have some interest, but like probably to see if that could lure LeBron to Golden State or something like that.
5 caps. I'm giving it 5 caps. There's no way. No, we had him higher in our 50. We had him higher. We were gonna pick him, and then we're just gonna go with the sentimentality. The Warriors. Also, the Warriors don't need another player like Bronny. I feel like they have a couple already.
That's true.
You're like, Pajemski is better at everything that Bronny is supposed to be able to do. Melton, better at everything that Bronny is supposed to, like, we want to go with that again? So, no, I don't think they were going to actually draft him. I think it's just a nice story. And I think that it's nice. It maybe is them stepping up for Bronny, being like, you know what? We had him higher in the draft. Like, give just like boosting the ego a little bit.
That just feels like LeBron bait to me. Like, hey, we thought about your son too. You know what I'm saying? If things don't go right in LA for any reason, you don't want to leave the great state of California. You know we here. You know our window is closing. We kind of need you, Brian. So like,
the same taxes over here.
You know what I'm saying?
Last one here. Julius Randle said a lot of things, and so did his wife, about going to Minnesota. He said this: my wife actually is saying it could be a lot worse. I'm not going to throw any shots out here, but it could be worse. My question is,
Count it up.
which cities in the NBA are worse than Minneapolis, Minnesota? I went to Minneapolis this during the playoffs last year. I'm going to say OKC is one of mine.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're talking cities alone,
Yep.
you can do if you can deal with the cold, you can do a lot worse than Minneapolis. It's a great downtown area, a lot of things centrally located, so on and so forth. But again, if you can't deal with the cold, and I say as someone who was born and raised Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so the cold doesn't bother me. But listen, basketball fit definitely city-wise, it's not a bad city if the cold doesn't bother you.
I was too nice to Oklahoma City earlier, so I had to throw them under the bus. Do you think Julius Randle would put Milwaukee as a city worse than Minneapolis?
Probably.
Dang.
Our downtown's just not as impressive. It's not. The lake's nice, but you know.
I think I might put Indiana there, Indianapolis.
I could see that.
Any other cities you want to call out?
I mean, Salt Lake City could be one.
Utah's a bad city.
You know, Utah's a tough one right there. So that's the one I would go with.
Utah's a bad city, the classic Dirk quote. Sacramento? Probably you got good weather.
The weather helps. It helps. Northern California is a different vibe. So
You're pretty close to San Francisco, pretty close to the Bay. You know, you're close to all that kind of stuff. So that's nice.
yeah, that's true. We'll see. You know, you can do worse than Minneapolis. I agree with that. You can do a lot worse.
We named a bunch of cities. You can do worse than Minneapolis. You can not do better than this show right here. Thanks for listening to Locked On NBA. Go check out Locked On Bucks and Locked On Mavericks. We're 5 days a week all throughout the season and all that. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. And now go make your second listen Locked On Bucks, Locked On Mavericks. We're here for you. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA. Boom.